Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. My name is Sia Nejad, otherwise known as the Counselor of Cash, and this will be the last day that I will be reporting or doing any shows from this curtain in my background. So I'll be back in my friendly confines on the next show, which actually is Sunday, the Early Wedge live betting show. But speaking of betting, we do have to look at how we did yesterday. Of course, this show is always brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. This is not a good recap screen. That's two in a row where we've lost you significant units here. Ben hits his pick. OKC first half -5.5, but everybody else takes an L, and that includes me. I got to be accountable here as well. My plus 133 ball does not come in. We got a rebound. I see a lot of people in the chat. I do want to give a shout out to a birthday boy. It does appear that it is Lennox's birthday. It's his third birthday, and that's Fantasy Life's son. So Lennox, happy birthday. The only thing I can do for Lennox beyond just saying happy birthday is introduce him and his dad to BPE Friday. What is happening? What is that? I see Danny Brasco shadowboxing. I see a picture of kids playing soccer and bobbleheads. I don't know what's happening. Danny, more bobbleheads. I'm going to start with, we don't have chips out, more bobbleheads. We don't have Chip today, so we have Chip's on vacation, by the way. So I know you're looking for your Chip Me Up, but if you recall, last time this happened, Buckets, a.k.a. Chip Jr., really delivered with his can of Chloraseptic. I don't know if you can top that, Buckets, but you got a Chip Me Up for us?
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Amags. Good morning, Gene. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Early Edge fam. And good morning to the legend Chip Patterson enjoying his vacation. Listen, we are bringing that Tyrese Halliburton Game 1 Indiana Pacers energy to all of you. We are bringing it in the pitch. We are bringing it on the octagon. We are bringing it on the whatever you call a baseball field. We're bringing it at the Belmont Stakes. We are putting that battery in our back pocket, and we are putting that money in your back pocket. Let's have a day, CO. Woo!
Okay, first of all, that was really, really good. Way better than I thought. No offense. Second of all, the one that you didn't get was the diamond of all things, not to
baseball
get the pitch. Yeah, the octagon. You couldn't come up with diamond. But I will say, the track is also something you could have thrown in there because, Gene, you're here because we've got the third leg of the triple, if you will. Talk to me. You're here with. You don't have to give your picks out right now, but you're here about the horses.
Yeah, it's called the Spa, Saratoga Springs in upstate New York.
Of course.
The Belmont Stakes has been moved to Saratoga Springs last year, this year, and probably next year as well because they're doing renovations to Belmont Park in Long Island. But if you haven't been to Saratoga Springs, it is a must thing to do. It's like you go, the saying is like you drive north from New York City 100 miles and go back 100 years.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, Amags and Brasco, you guys live in New York. Amags, have you ever been to Saratoga Springs?
Oh, yeah. Love Saratoga. That's actually why I brought out the Sam the Bugler bobblehead today. I have some of my other Saratoga giveaways in the back. Yeah, love Saratoga.
I think he said Ferris Bueller bobblehead. Danny Brasco, you ever been to Saratoga?
I can't say I have. I'm such a city gremlin over here, just dwelling in the sewers. But, man, I'm excited for this weekend and this BPE show. Of course, I was telling Gene pre-show that my girlfriend's mother gave me some horse racing bets, and they may be in alignment. So I love to hear that. Sharp plays from the family over here. And, of course, we have a huge UFC 316 card that I'm going to get into. Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marab the Machine Dvalishvili, the rematch for the bantamweight title. It's a huge card, and I'm going to break it down with you guys. I'm hyped for the show.
And Danny, if memory serves, you're going to be on CBS Sports HQ with me tonight on primetime pregame between 6 and 7. Everybody, you're going to want to catch that show for UFC picks, hockey picks, NBA picks. And I do want to give a shout out to Gene here because Aaron Bailey is saying, folks, my man Gene has helped me win $2,000 plus on the first two legs of the Triple Crown. And I remember Aaron saying that previously. And part of the reason was, Gene, you were giving out picks, of course, but also that you and Michelle and the whole kind of horse racing crew at SportsLine was in the SportsLine Discord during all of those races. So I don't know, Gene, before we get to picks, can you tell us, will you be, because you might be at the track, like I don't know if you can be in the Discord, but will people be in Discord this weekend at least talking horse racing?
Yeah, Discord is actually a great place to spend during a horse racing Saturday. We've been there the last two Triple Crown races for the Derby and the Preakness. My man, Aaron Bailey, has been contributing a ton on there. Horse racing is actually perfect for Discord because you have like 30 minutes between races to kind of like really discuss things, throw back ideas and stuff like that. You can keep track of track changes and weather changes. It's a great place for Discord. I will be on there on Saturday. I'll also be doing the live blog on cbssports.com on the Belmont Stakes. So you can find me there or on the live blog as well.
Okay, absolutely love to hear that. Again, if you're a SportsLine member, you get the SportsLine Discord for free. And if anybody has questions, if anybody in the chat happens to not be a SportsLine member, put it in the chat. Let us know. We'll give you the promo code to get 60% off the annual plan. All right, let's finally get to some picks. Chip Jr., a.k.a. Buckets, you got 2 plays for the pitch.
All right, we are going to go to the World Cup qualifiers taking place in UEFA this afternoon, and we're starting with the matchup between Norway and Italy. And I'm going with something super easy here. Just over 2.5 goals at -110. This Norway side is flying high right now. In their first 2 World Cup qualifying matches, they outscored their opponents 9-2. Albeit it was Moldova and Israel, 2 teams that they should have been. But that's the kind of momentum you need to carry into a matchup against a team like Italy. A team like Italy who is struggling defensively and whose age is starting to show a little bit, but is still good enough to score against everyone. I love both teams to score in this game, which is currently priced at -150, but if you take the over 2.5 instead at -110, you get rid of some of that juice and you get to watch our boy here, Erling Haaland, probably score for Norway like he has in the last 2 matches. Then, second bet, we go to the matchup between the Czech Republic taking on Montenegro, and we're going for a player prop here. It's really fun watching these international matches because when you watch club play, sometimes you forget where these teams play, what nations they play for, and what we can expect. Patrick Schick, the striker for Bayer Leverkusen, had 21 goals in just 19 starts for Leverkusen during Bundesliga play. He is the guy that is going to be staying in the 9 spot for this Czech Republic side, and in a match where Czech Republic are expected to score 2 or 3 goals here, at least one of them should come from the best striker on this team, bar none. You can get him to score right now, Sia, at +110.
Buckets, can I ask you something? Because we've got Carl Brutus in the chat. He says, how is Sniper not on today? He deserves to celebrate the win. Of course, he's referring to the Indiana Pacers win, which was pretty incredible. We lost let's be real, we lost our NBA picks. You saw it on the recap screen with the picks we had in there. But I will say we have had some people that have been champion of the Pacers. Chip Jr., I believe you're one of them. But we had Sniper, and, of course, Prop Stars has been all over Indiana, including last night. Did you watch that game, Buckets?
I did watch the 4th quarter of that game, and the reason I watched it, if you remember Tuesday, I gave out one NBA Finals bet. It was there for there to be a game-winning buzzer beater shot at +2,000 on MGM. I don't know what that means, so when I saw it happen, I thought I'd won it. So I was getting ready to tweet, get ready to just throw hands at everyone, and then realized there was still 0.3 left, so that doesn't count. But wow. I didn't quarter.
That I forgot about that, and that's actually incredible. You were 0.3 seconds away from hitting that bet in game 1. A ridiculous bet, mind you, hitting it in game 1. Danny Brasco, go ahead.
That's insane. I feel like they should pay out for that. But I'm very proud of SportsLine because I watched Halliburton hit that shot and immediately thought of the Jesse Pinkman meme from Breaking Bad. He can't keep getting away with this as a Knicks fan. And what do I go? I go to look for that meme. SportsLine had posted it as I thought about it. So just eerie clutchness from Halliburton.
The SportsLine social is all over. Gene, are you an NBA guy at all? Did you watch that game? Any reaction?
I watched the end of that game. I was actually watching the Women's College World Series between Texas and Texas Tech game 2 because I'm a Texas fan. So I grew up in Houston and went to Texas. But as soon as that game was over, I flipped over to see the last 20 seconds of the NBA Finals. And I tell you what, Halliburton's unbelievable. What he's doing in the playoffs is unreal.
Yeah, pretty great stuff. All right, we'll get back to picks now. A lot of baseball. Amags, talk to us about some pitcher props that you've got.
All right, Sia. Well, I posted both of these already on the SportsLine website, and I will be on HQ later with some other baseball picks. So make sure that you can catch us there for some a little bit later stuff. But I got a couple.
Are you, Amags, real quick? Are you on HQ with me tonight as well? You might be. I apologize, I didn't mention you. Okay, great. So 6 to 7 primetime pregame on CBS Sports HQ. Amags, go ahead.
All right, yeah, no, it's all good. So I've got 2. One, I had to wear the Yankees hat. Had to give Will Warren a little bit of love after that terrible performance last time out. Didn't even finish 2 innings against the Dodgers. Got completely shellacked. But I love the conversation this week around him. It's been all about learning. It's been all about taking his lumps, talking to Garrett Cole, improving his game. Aaron Boone sounds like, the next time he gets out on the mound, he still has full confidence in him. So at 5.5 strikeouts here, I do like the over against the Red Sox. Shout out to Moshe Stern. I know it's a name that we see a bunch here in the chat, an avid listener, watcher, and Discord user. He mentioned earlier something that I mentioned in my write-up, that the Red Sox have been terrible on the road at avoiding strikeouts. So at home, they've been solid to not strike out, around 20%, 21%. But on the road, it turns up to 26, 27%. In this start, I do think that Warren, who's been very good with the strikeouts up to, that last start, I think that he gets a 6-1 here today and has enough confidence from Aaron Boone to stick in the game. So I threw a little bit on over 15.5 outs at plus odds as well. Secondly, we're going to go to the latest game of the night, the 10:10 Eastern time in San Fran. We've got a Braves team that I already saw in the chat here. We've got Big Cheesy and Dan Clark. Big Cheesy, I think, said that the over was the easiest cash he's ever had in that game yesterday. You could have played the over 9 in just the 9th inning and cashed it. It was just crazy. I don't think that's actually 100% accurate, but it was very close, pretty much. Just an insane 9th inning, ton of runs scored. They blow the lead. They blow the game. So tonight, Spencer Schwellenbach over 5.5 strikeouts, another 5.5 here. I think he just lasts long enough in this game after what happened yesterday. He's been pitching deeper into games. He's been given added opportunities, and now you're going to give him added opportunities against a lineup that has thinned out a little bit. Big Cheesy, I know you're here, but man, this Giants lineup is a little bit tough. You actually DFA'd Lamont Wade. You've only got 4 lefties in this lineup. Maybe you could push 5, but the right-handed batters are actually taking over in this Giants lineup a little bit, and that skews perfectly for Schwellenbach, who has some sparkling underlying metrics for strikeouts against righties. He's got a 30% strikeout rate against them. So I do think with the added righty opportunities here for Schwellenbach, he stays in the game long enough to easily go over 5.5 tonight.
All right. A couple of strikeout props there. I got to refer to G Squared in the chat because this is pretty great. He says, pop culture Sia sneaking in the Ferris Bueller reference, as yesterday was the date Ferris missed a day of school 40 years ago. And guess what, folks? That's accurate. It was yesterday. It was June 5th, 40 years ago, that Ferris Bueller skipped his day of school. So what a great reference. I picked up that reference from one of the bobbleheads. Danny, was it yours? Was it Amags? I can't remember.
I'm not sure, but
Sam the Bugler.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's the coolest day off ever taken. I remember I cut school and got caught by truancy officers for watching the movie Troy in Circuit City. That was not worth the principal office trip.
Circuit
City. Oh, man.
Old school reference.
Oh, I love these old school references. Chip Jr., Circuit City was like the Best Buy is the modern day Circuit City, just so you know. Do you know what Best Buy is? Maybe not. Probably not. Okay, it looks like that's a no from Chip Jr. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm Chip Jr. My bad.
Who else would be Chip Jr.?
I forgot I did that. What was the question? I'm sorry.
You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. BetMGM promo, of course. This show is brought to you by BetMGM, but BetMGM account holders will get an MLB home run boost today. To get the boost, make any home run bet and activate the token. If the bet wins, you get extra winnings. Only at BetMGM. Speaking of home runs, this is probably a good time to get to the home run model plays. We had, I think, 2 of the 3 hit yesterday. Ketel Marte and Caminero both hit yesterday. So we're going with Caglione again, and then we're going with Juan Soto and Jazz Chisholm. So it looks like we have probably the most value on Soto and Caglione and a little bit of value on Jazz Chisholm. You see the odds there per the SportsLine model. Again, 2 of these 3 hit yesterday. The day before, 1 out of 3 hit. So I'm not saying you're betting these every day, but it just so happens that if you have the last couple of days, they have been really, really good to us. All right, we got to get Gene involved. We got to get to the Belmont Stakes. I got a golf pick. We got UFC picks. We got to cover a lot of stuff, and we're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
Let's go. Just knocks it into the side. Goes down in the go. Keyboard me. Victory here in Shanghai. You want, baby?
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, and I did forget to mention that we're a mere 90 days away from NFL kickoff, and if you have a favorite 90, put it in the chat. I think we're going to go with Julius Peppers on this one. A two-way player, played a very good basketball player, a very good football player. I think people forget about that basketball part, but also a number 90. So a mere 3 months away from football season. Again, if you have a favorite 90, put it in the chat. All right, Gene. Everybody's excited about horse racing this weekend. Talk to us about some plays you like.
So tomorrow, the Belmont Stakes is actually the 13th race on a loaded 14-race card at Saratoga Race Course. There are like 5 or 6 Grade 1 races, which is the top races that you can have here in the United States. Stars all across the board on Saturday. The Belmont Stakes is the 13th of those, but my best bet is actually going to come in the 11th race, the Woody Stevens, which is a 7-furlong sprint for 3-year-olds on the dirt. Now, every year during the Triple Crown Trail, you'll have horses who are fast early as 2-year-olds sprinting, and their connections get very excited about possibly winning the Kentucky Derby. So they stretch them out in distance to a mile and a 16th, mile and an eighth, but they actually can't get that distance. They're not bred. They don't have the stamina to run that long for that fast. So what happens is at this time of the year, those horses who were really good at sprinting cut back in distances, shorter distances, and they're placed in races that are more appropriate for them. And they're doing something that they've been wanting to do for a long time. One of those races is the Woody Stevens Stakes. And this features a horse that was on the Triple Crown Trail, Patch Adams. He was fast last year as a 2-year-old, but then, like I said, the connections decided to try to make the Kentucky Derby with him, stretch him out in distance, and it didn't work. So in his last start, he cut back in distance and he won. He actually won the race immediately after the Kentucky Derby and got a huge speed figure for that performance. And I trust that speed figure because we know what happened in the race before that. So it's pretty easy to compare those speed figures and trust it. He is going to be he's 5-1 on the morning line. He's the number 4 horse in race 11. I expect him to be right up on the pace and be able to hold off a lot of classy closers. So that is actually my best pick on tomorrow's card, race 11 in the Woody Stevens Stakes. Now, the Belmont Stakes is 2 races after that. Race 13. And I swear, I didn't steal this from Danny's girlfriend's mom. I did not. But, this race has been billed as a match race, basically, between the Derby winner, Sovereignty, and the Preakness winner, Journalism. 5 weeks ago, Sovereignty outkicked Journalism in the slop at Churchill Downs, won fair and square. 3 weeks ago, we saw what happened in the Preakness Stakes, an improbable stretch run. You will not see what happened to a horse win after the type of trip and traffic trouble that Journalism got into deep in the stretch in the Preakness Stakes. Now they come back, but it's the 3rd horse from the Kentucky Derby, Baeza, the 3rd place finisher, who I'm taking to pick in tomorrow's Belmont Stakes. He was right there in the Kentucky Derby, losing by only a length and a half, and he had more than a length and a half's worth of trouble in that race. He had to steady multiple times at the wrong time. He comes into the Preakness fresh. He's improved with every race. His speed figures have gone up with every ensuing start, and I think he's going to get a better trip on Saturday right behind the 2 pace setters, Rodriguez and Crudo. He's also bred to get this distance. His brother, Dornock, won the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga Springs last year, and also his brother, Mage, won the Kentucky Derby 2 years ago. So he's bred to get the distance. He's improving. He's fast. And best of all, he's going to be at least twice the price of Journalism and Sovereignty. Right now, Journalism is 8-5 on the morning line. Sovereignty is 2-1, second choice. And Baeza is 4-1. So I'm riding with Baeza in the Belmont Stakes.
Gene, people want to know what's going on with your background. Is it possible that this is your
broke up on me there?
Oh, the pictures in your background. Is that your children playing sports?
Yeah. So I'm on the side. I'm a photographer.
Oh,
Yeah. And so this is my son, Max. We took his portrait last fall. He plays soccer. He's also a pretty good golfer. He finished 16th at the Texas State Invitational Memorial Day weekend, actually. So that's Max. And this is a player from my daughter's team. She's an 11 under team. So this was also last November. And then you saw the one that I showed in the intro as well.
that's right. Gus Dawson says, no, it's someone else's kid, Sia.
I'm glad you caught that.
It could have been just like he's a photographer and these are some of his pictures. But you're right, Gus. That was probably, I mean, listen, I was leading the witness. I kind of knew it was his kids. I just wasn't 100% sure. But thank you for pointing out my silly question. All right. I guess we got to get some more picks. I do want to point out that Patch Adams is sparking a lot of like old school movies with, obviously, we mentioned Ferris Bueller, Patch Adams. It reminds me of Robin Williams. If you have a favorite Robin Williams movie, please put it in the chat. He's done so many, and there's so many good ones. I know there's a couple that come to mind immediately, but give it some thought. There's just so many good Robin Williams movies. I'm going to give out my pick while you guys are mulling that over. I'm going with a round 2 matchup. This one starts in about an hour and a half. I'm going with Antoine Rosner minus 115 over Matthew Pavone. This is a case of, listen, I lost yesterday. My 3 ball was plus 130. Turns out that 3 ball is probably going to win today. The guy who won it was like plus 5 through 8 holes. So the point is I'm still feeling pretty confident in my picks here. Antoine Rosner minus 115 is a guy I liked coming into this tournament, like the form coming in, like the approach play in particular coming in. And Matthew Pavone is very much an up and down player, but I feel like he's kind of in down mode. He is making cuts, so he hasn't been terrible. And honestly, yesterday, his stats weren't bad. He was hitting a lot of fairways, which is something you're going to want to do here. But I think Antoine Rosner is coming in with way better form on the PGA Tour. So I'm gonna knock this out at minus 115. I would have thought this would be closer to minus 125. I don't think it's tremendous value, but I still think Antoine Rosner is going to win round 2. So give me that over Matthew Pavone at minus 115. All right, we got to move. There's so much going on in the chat. There's so much movie stuff. Good Morning Vietnam, Mrs. Doubtfire, Goodwill Hunting, of course. So many things going on there. My dad has his claim to fame being in the background of a Mrs. Doubtfire scene. Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. All right. UFC 316, Brasco. We got to get to it. I'm sure you got a lot of picks here. Talk to us.
My mainstream pick for Robin Williams has got to be Goodwill Hunting, but the hipster pick, Death to Smoochie. Go watch that. That is a strange film, very interesting one. Not appropriate for certain age groups. All right, into the octagon we go. And man, what a UFC 316 card we have ahead of us. Like Sia mentioned, I'm going to be on the network show at noon. I'm also going to be on primetime pregame with him later on tonight. So I'll be covering the main event and co-main event over there. I'm going to give you guys some value I found on the prelims to kick it off. And first off, I'm going with a Korean prospect that I think is going to make a splash in his debut. Give me Ju Sang-yu to get the win inside the distance. I'm taking him knockout, TKO, or submission. So all he's got to do is put his opponent away, and we catch this ticket. Guys, Ju Sang-yu is a minus 650 favorite on the money line. So I'm knocking off almost 500 points in value here, or excuse me, gaining 500 points in value by saying that he can win inside the distance. His opponent, Jekka Saragi, is a raw, explosive puncher, but he has a very weak ground game. And I think Ju Sang-yu can exploit that. He's an 8-0 prospect that's already fighting in the Korean Zombies promotion over in Korea and already making a name for himself, showing me cardio, durability, a well-rounded skill set. He's kind of a slick striker, too. I could see him either landing a counter punch, make him miss, make him pay, or just put him on the ground and choke him out. So I like him to get the win here and get a value play on a huge favorite. That's going to be the theme on a lot of these UFC plays. There's some huge favorites. You got to knock off some of the juice. And I think I'm going to do that again in another fight on a minus 650 favorite that I'm getting for plus 135 in Joshua the Fearless Van. If Van can get his opponent out of there inside the distance as well by KO, TKO, or sub, then we get plus money on this massive favorite. And man, Van is a fiery boxer. The kid is just 23 years old, but he's already gaining a ton of UFC experience. He moves forward. He's got great toughness, thudding low kicks, and his boxing combos are nasty. He rips to the head and body really well. His opponent, Bruno Silva, is a tough fighter, and he's got a well-rounded skill set too, but he's been taking a lot of damage as of late. He had a really nice comeback victory over Cody Durden, but prior to that knockout shot, Durden was piecing him up, and Durden's not necessarily known for his boxing. In his last fight, he got worked by Manel Kopp and put away in the third round, took a lot of damage. And I think that just accumulation of damage now coming in to fight a fiery young kid like Josh Van is going to bode poorly for Bruno Silva, who is quite hittable. So I think if Josh Van finds the liver shot with that digging left hook, he's going to get him out of there. Give me plus 135 on this prop. And let's combine them both, right? I want to knock off the juice as my theme. You can play the spreads in UFC on these two huge favorites to get a nice minus 114 two-leg parlay. Not plus money, but like I said, guys, sometimes I'm just looking for green check marks at good value, and you get two close to minus 700 favorites that instead playing them on the spread and putting them together near even money. These spreads imply that they need to win dominant decisions or finish their opponents. The minus 3.5 comes down to the combined judges' scorecards. So we've got to win 30-27s, or like I said, inside the distance. I think they both do that easy. And we cash few tickets on Van and Jusang Yu. And finally, guys, this is probably my best bet of the night. I'm going to talk about him a good deal on CBS channels today. Give me Patchy Mix on the money line at minus 175. I don't care. I will lay the chalk on him. This guy's making his debut from Bellator. And I think the narrative around the MMA community a lot largely is, man, these Bellator guys stink. We saw what happened when Patricio Pitbull came in and he got beat by Yair, right? A lot of these other guys have been turned away by higher caliber competition in the UFC. But do not sleep on Patchy Mix. This guy is an elite grappler. He's a training partner of bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili, and his squeeze on his chokeholds are lethal, man. If he takes your back or gets you in a guillotine, the fight might be over real quick. He's facing Mario Batista, an equally skilled grappler, but this matchup almost feels like a punishment for Batista, who neutralized and kept bantamweight legend Jose Aldo just stuck in defense. I think everyone's mad at him. It was criticized for his win, even by Dana White over Jose Aldo. So now they give him a grappling counterpart that can match him in that area. Patchy Mix's grappling skill will win out. He'll get his UFC debut win and make a splash in that bantamweight division. And stay tuned, guys, on SportsLine for more UFC main event picks on this 316 card.
Almost feels like a punishment is a very interesting way to put that out. We got to go around the horn a little bit before we get to the recap screen, which, by the way, the recap screen is going to have Mike McClure's French Open pick on here, which, of course, is a carryover from yesterday. But before I do that, actually, I'm going to start with Gene, and then I'm going to go to you, Chip Jr., and Amags about any questions you saw in the chat that you wanted to address. Aaron Bailey, Gene, wants to know, do you like Baffert's horse at all? You're on mute.
Belmont Stakes.
You're good.
So Rodriguez in the Belmont Stakes, I don't really see anyone other than the top three winning the Belmont Stakes. It's basically Baeza, Journalism, and Sovereignty. Is there a possibility that Rodriguez could get loose on the lead and win? Sure. I don't exactly like how he's coming up into the race. Baffert's had to squeeze in 2 workouts into the horse because he missed the Derby and the Preakness with a hoof issue. And there are just too many good horses in here for him to hold off at 1.25 miles. So I'm basically going to fade Rodriguez. And if there was a 4th horse, I might take Hill Road to finish 4th.
All right. Big Cheesy has a lot of picks in the chat, Amags. He's got Freddie Freeman over 1.5 total bases, Tommy Edman over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. I think I saw something from Kyle Schwarber from him. And then we also have Jen mentioning, and a lot of others mentioning, Patrick Corbin back in DC. Anything with Corbin being a slight favorite over Soroka, by the way. Anything that you've kind of seen in the chat or you heard from me just now that is worth responding to?
I'm taking a look actually at the Corbin one. I really didn't have, in terms of projections for strikeouts and outs and all that, I didn't see anything for him. But I do recall here, as I look now, he's been pitching, much better than when we were calling it Patrick Corbin Day, right? He's been like 2 or 3 at most earned runs. He's actually been pretty solid. So, if you wanted to take a look, maybe like the James Wooden, the lefty, I know that he had a down couple of nights here over the last couple. So, yeah, I don't really love too much in that game, though. I did see a couple questions on Tariq Skubal. We get him as, total ace on the mound today, but 7.5 strikeouts against the Cubs. I mentioned it earlier here in the chat, but with how great Skubal is with strikeouts, I think, for the whole season, I'm good on fading him. But in this spot against the Cubs, I just think 7.5 is a little bit too high. If it was 6.5 and you could get a reasonable price, then maybe I would look at it. But, if you like that one, the Cubs really haven't been hitting all that much. So maybe you want to take a look at like the 6 strikeouts and the win or something like that. It's been a little tough for Skubal to grab those wins, but he's a stud, absolute ace.
There was also a money line that somebody threw out with, I think, the Mets and the Tigers. Maybe you'd want to change that to the Mets and Tigers first 5. I don't know, but
Mets and Royals
from Jason
Royals against
Mets and Royals. Excuse me. Okay, my bad.
They're just targeting the White Sox and the Rockies to fade both of those.
Yeah.
Here's
the other one.
So yeah, I don't dislike that kind of stuff. Mets and Royals there plus 120.
Right. And then we have Kelly Collins with the Tigers and Mets at
There you
minus
go.
102. Buckets, talk to me. Anything soccer related?
Favorite Robin Williams movie is Flubber. And if you're looking for kind of a very weird long shot odd soccer play, there's a matchup between Gibraltar and Croatia. You know how much I love both teams to score. Both teams to score currently is plus 320. I'm going to sprinkle half a unit on it. Gibraltar is a terrible, terrible side, but they usually get one shot a game, and I'm just betting that one shot a game goes in for them.
Amags, go ahead.
2 seconds. Real quick, couple things I did want to mention before we left. Last night, that game for the Braves, until that point in D-backs history, they were 0-489 when they trailed by 6+ runs going into the ninth inning. So a ridiculous loss. And then secondly here, look for those Tampa Bay games, all 3 of them today, tomorrow, the next day, all during the day in Tampa, hot weather. And Cal Raleigh, a lot has been made of all of his home runs and success this year. He faces the Angels and Ron Washington, who we saw intentionally walk Judge 2 different times, intentionally walk Jose Ramirez 2 different times. Plus 125 for a walk on Cal Raleigh. I think I might just play it each night of the series.
That is a really, really good look. Amags, you do have to respond now that Buckets kicked us off. Favorite Robin Williams movie before we get to the recap screen. And I'm going to go to Gene and Brasco on this as well.
I said Flubber just because, honestly, I looked up a bunch of those movies that he had been in, and I was like, I do remember Flubber. I don't watch too many movies, but what about Jumanji? Saw that one mentioned as well. That movie scared the heck out of me as a kid.
Gene, what's your favorite Robin Williams movie?
I'm sure I'm missing one here, and so I'm gonna have to go with 2, either Good Will Hunting or Vietnam.
Good Morning Vietnam.
Morning, Vietnam.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Those are good ones. Danny Brasco.
Yeah, I mentioned before, I love Good Will Hunting. Death to Smoochie, a kind of a dark horse pick, really weird one. I just remember some great ones. Man, I grew up on Mrs. Doubtfire. That's an all-time classic. Bicentennial Man, interesting movie. There's a lot of great. Dead Poet Society, of course, all-time classic. But he's been in some like psychological thrillers too, like 1 Hour Photo, Insomnia. He's an incredible talent, man. I miss Robin. What a guy.
Somebody said Insomnia in the chat, and I think it was Capper Taylor that said, ban that person from the chat. That was super boring, which I thought was a wild comment. I'm going to go, I don't know. I got to think about this one. Dead Poet Society was good. I'll probably go with Good Will Hunting. I know it's chalk. I'm taking the chalk here, but like at minus 400. But I will say this. Somebody did point out Mork and Mindy, which I think was great. That was Liddy. Yeah. And another person pointed out Robin Williams stand-up. So he was so big in stand-up before he was like a true like movie star. And a lot of that stand-up stuff, yeah, it's topical, so it's kind of dated, but it withstands the test of time. If you can go back and just watch how talented Robin Williams was on stage, just doing stand-up, I promise you, even if you're a younger person, you're going to be thoroughly impressed. So go look for that stuff.
The bit that he does on golf is so hilarious.
Yes.
You have to look it up. I'm a golf fan. You've already seen it a million times, but it is so hilarious.
It is funny. You could probably go on Instagram and just type it in, or certainly YouTube. I think one of those two, it'll be a good look. I love that we got to talk about this. This show went kind of long. It's my last curtain show, right? So we had to go a little bit longer. Moshi says Robin Williams talking about golf, and Moses is fantastic. Absolutely love it. Thanks for being in here, everybody. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. A lot of picks here. This isn't the only screen you're going to see because we got to get to Mike's pick as well. I've got Antoine Rosner today, minus 115 in round 2 over Matthew Pavone. I should have probably specified that one is over on DK. I don't know if you're going to find it at the other major books. We got Norway versus Italy over 2.5 goals from Buckets at minus 110, and Czech Republic versus Montenegro. We got Patrick Schick anytime goal score at plus 110. And then we go to UFC. Again, don't forget, Brasco is going to be on at 12 o'clock and at 6 o'clock on the network and on HQ. You're going to see Amags on HQ as well. Ju Sang Yu by KO, TKO, or sub at minus 155. Joshua Van by KO, TKO, sub plus 135. And a spread parlay, Ju Sang Yu minus 3.5 and Joshua Van minus 3.5 at minus 114. And then finally, Patchy Adams mix, money line, minus 175. Then we go to Amags, a couple of strikeout props. Will Warren over 5.5 Ks at minus 139, and Spencer Schwellenbach over 5.5 Ks at minus 140. Then Gene Menez, we go to race 11 before the Belmont Stakes. Woody Stevens Stakes, win for Patch Adams at 5-1. And then race 13, that's the Belmont Stakes, win 6, Baeza 4-1. Then we don't have a sports line pick, but we do have Mike McClure's pick for the French Open. Novak Djokovic plus 5.5 games at plus 105 versus Jannik Sinner. And it does look like Jose Honorado, if you're a sports line member, I think Rick Funcannon was saying he's already hit a pick regarding that Alcaraz match. So again, if you're a sports line member and you're in the tennis portion of the Discord and you're taking those bets, you have already cashed this morning, according to the comment that I just read. What a show. We just went 35 minutes talking about number 90s in the NFL, Robin Williams films, horse racing, UFC, soccer. We got a Chip Jr., Chip Me Up. We have baseball, home run picks. We have it all. So hopefully you can join us on Monday. Join us on the network show today on CBS Sports Network. Join us on HQ, which streams 24/7. I'll be on there from 6 to 7 on behalf of Ben, who got us our win yesterday on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. Yeah, bounce back weekend incoming. Got some carryover picks from golf that are going to be on that Monday recap screen as well, which are looking okay right now. On behalf of Buckets, on behalf of Brasco, on behalf of Gene and Amags, and of course Ben, again on the 1s and 2s, doing it all behind the scenes. Goodbye, curtain, everybody. This thing's gone. I'll be back in my friendly confines Sunday for that live show for the RBC Canadian with Jason Sobel and Mike McClure and Patrick McDonald for round 4 of the RBC Canadian. And then don't forget the US Open is next week. We're going to have so much programming on this Sportsline YouTube channel, on the network, and on HQ. What a show. What a week. Say goodbye to the curtain. Have a great Friday. Have a positive Friday. Hopefully we have a bounce back recap screen on Monday. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.